Welcome to You AGRAY, a space where we have real conversations. I'm your host Bassam, and Jermeen is going to start us off with a question.
Question is every person born with a special gift that, when pursued, can lead to a successful career? Or is career or your job is ultimately about making a living?
Yeah, so today we're privileged to have Coach Joey, or
Joey, yeah,
Joey,
coach, yeah,
his
yeah,
name is
yeah.
Joey. He's our daughter's coach, swimming and gymnastics. And we're so excited that they have you as a coach. Today, we mentioned that we were going to record with you, and they were like, "Oh, can we be there?" So
Did they want to
that
leave?
just that just tells you how impactful you've been in their life, and how
Mm-hmm.
they love you as their coach. And so I'm just gonna introduce you a little bit. So you grew up in the Southern California area, and have you're currently working as the aquatics manager for the Drayson Center at Loma Linda University, and you also work part time at La Sierra University, and you majored in business, and you've taken some exercise science classes,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have
Nice.
quite a few different little associate's degrees in different ones. So in nutrition,
Mm. Oh, nice.
Nice. Yeah.
We didn't know about
psychology.
nutrition.
No, we
Yeah,
didn't. Yeah.
nutrition, psychology. It wasn't exercise science, physical education, and gerontology. Um,
Cool.
and then I went on to get my bachelor's in La Sierra,
Wow.
and then MBA, same place,
Yeah.
for the business aspect of it, and
Wow,
Nice.
amazing.
yeah,
And so you have a side hustle
yeah,
with
yeah,
the with the financing and the tax
yeah,
applications and everything like
yeah.
that.
Oh, nice.
Seasonal side hustle for
Nice.
tax season, typically
Cool.
just 2.5 months out of the year, where I'm really just nose to the books and getting everybody's taxes taken care of, and a little
Nice.
bit of tax strategy throughout the year, and
Mm.
um, then I kind of wash my hands of it the rest of the year. And
Nice.
Wow. Yeah.
people call me, I help them out, but outside of that, I don't really
Mm.
do too much.
Nice.
Yeah,
We maybe we'll do another interview where we get into that side of
sure.
the
Yeah, that's
of the topic,
that.
because I have a lot of I'm interested in that as well. I started as a business major at the same school last year, university, and then I ended up switching majors to exercise science, and that's what I finished before I got into dental school. But yeah, you're also married, have two kids, so you have your hands full.
Indeed.
And we wanna get into the question that Jeremy talked
Mm.
about. Um, what are your thoughts? I mean, you're so successful at what you do. I mean, we feel it. We feel.
Yes, and let me just
Yeah.
say,
Go
like,
ahead.
I feel like you are in the group of the first group that I talked about. Those people
Yeah.
who are born with a gift, and you can just see it as they do their work, their career. I mean, the girls can definitely see it. They're
Yeah.
very, you can see it that it's successful just because of I feel like it's a passion. It's a special gift that God has given you.
Mm.
Um, and we just that's why we want to interview you, because we want to know, how did that come about?
Yeah.
That's a great question. In general, like, do people? I think people probably do have a special gift that
Mm.
if they foster it, and if they pursue it, pursue is a really good word to use
Mm.
in the question.
Mm.
Mm.
Um, and if it's, a fostering environment, sometimes is really helpful to help them to develop that gift. If they're lucky, it translates into
Mm.
a monetary compensation
Mm.
in their world. But sometimes it doesn't always do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not as it doesn't translate that
Mm-hmm.
way, but it doesn't make it any less valuable.
Mm.
Mm.
Uh, it's just different, and
Yeah.
so it gives us different perspective when we look at that. Um,
Yeah. Some of the cultures maybe we grew up in, or
Mm.
more of the Eastern cultures, you're kind of expected to become what your parents want you to be,
hmm
and so
hmm
you end up um,
Doctor.
well, yeah, in
Yeah.
the um, a doctor or engineer, like, or one of those
A
higher
professional, a
education,
Lawyer,
professional,
a
yeah.
right? Yeah,
professional,
yeah, sure.
exactly. But a lot of people, it's just, you can tell that they're either unhappy
Mm-hmm.
or not successful, yet they continue to do what they do for the rest of their
Mm-hmm.
life
Right,
miserably.
right.
And so, how did you like find what your gift is?
I failed a lot,
Mhm.
to be real with you. I
Yeah.
failed at a lot of things.
Mm.
I've had a trillion different jobs
Mhm.
growing up. My first job ever was being in extra in movies
Mhm.
in Hollywood back
Mhm.
in a long, long time ago. Uh, and yeah, it was fun for a while, but it was just so much work. And I was a
Mm.
little kid, like 10 years old. So
Wow.
I wasn't, I didn't feel like I was cut out for it. It was too much for me. So I
Yeah.
quit at that. And then I started my own business as a kid who would mow people's lawns, and I'd push the
Nice.
lawnmower around. And then I got a bike because I could afford it after a few lawns.
Hmm.
I towed it behind me and rode around to
Mm.
a few more houses and
Yeah.
different blocks. But I just tried a lot of things. I was
Mm.
fortunate enough to have a lot of different exposures to life, I
Mm.
guess,
Mm.
in general.
Mm.
Um, being exposed to taxes early because my mom had always done taxes. So
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm.
from an early age, I was in there filing
Mhm.
paperwork every year and just get it in there. I know my ABCs, so let's just do
Mm.
this. Um, and that to my uncle, who was like a entrepreneur, plumber, and electrician, and just all around handy guy. I could
Mm.
learn from him occasionally. Um, and just gave me a totally different perspective than being in the office,
Mm.
um, learning about how houses are built and construction stuff was eye opening.
Mm.
But I tried that as a kid too.
Mhm.
I tried roofing of all construction jobs,
Mm.
and I enjoyed it for the summer, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna
Mm.
do something else because
Wow.
that's
Jack of all
it's
trades.
a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So props to
But you
all of
mastered
that.
something.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I mastered anything, but I try hard at everything that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a kid, actually, I didn't know how to like swim at all.
Okay.
So I learned how to swim later in life.
Hmm.
Mm.
Interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I had several near drowning experiences where
Mm.
someone literally had to pull me out of the water
Wow.
Mm.
and push on
Wow.
me a little bit for me to breathe and
Oh wow.
wake up and
No way.
like
Wow.
yeah.
Oof.
So three times
What?
when I
That's
was like
crazy.
9 and then 11 and
Was that
then
like at a swimming pool or
swimming
the
pool. I
ocean?
think the first one was 7. I think I was 7 years old at a after little league
Hmm.
t-ball party or something like that.
Wow.
We went to somebody's home and it was a fully dressed woman like by the little buffet table who
Hmm.
happened to
Spotted
notice,
you.
and there was
Yeah.
tons of people surrounding me.
Hmm.
Nobody saw. She saw it. She jumped in with all her clothes on and pulled me out.
Wow.
Like, thank you. I appreciate that.
Does that have to do anything with what you're doing now?
100%. Yeah, that
Okay.
Wow.
definitely does. I got the opportunity to learn how to swim when I went to Auburn Academy
Mm-hmm.
because I at the time I
Mm.
wasn't doing too much. So I was
Mm.
a doctor actually was a client of my mom's.
Mm.
Offered to pay my way to go to the same school he went to get a
Mm.
different environment
Mm.
because he saw that the environment I was in wasn't as healthy as it could be. So it
Yeah.
wasn't fostering any of my
Mm.
gifts. It wasn't
Yeah.
fostering any of my interests. It was a distraction.
Wow.
So it was
Mm.
very helpful for me. I went to camp meeting with my mom and the doctor up at Auburn Academy, and interestingly enough, he proposed it then. Like
Mm.
he's like, "Oh, come to camp meetings, see the place, beautiful campus." I just
Mm.
fell in love with the
Mm.
Pacific Northwest. I don't know if you've ever been,
Yeah.
but it's just green and beautiful, and yeah,
Mm.
it goes through all the seasons, which is fantastic.
Mm.
Mm.
Um, and during camp meeting, he said, "Hey, if you want to stay here, you'll come back to school here.
Mm.
I'll pay your tuition." I'm
Mm.
Wow.
like, oh my gosh, that's
That's big.
huge.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
Mm.
like at a
Yeah.
boarding school, like
Yeah.
wow, I never experienced anything like that culture at all. Because my family was not religious growing
Mm.
up. My
Mm.
mom was not she was Christian, but we didn't really go to church too much. One, Christmas time type of Christians, and then like learning about Adventism, and at that camp meeting, I really struggled. Like, do I want to stay? Do I want to go? I like my friends, but I know this is probably where I belong, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
so I did this thing with my mom. I had a coin, and I said, okay, I'm going to toss the coin. Heads I stay, tails I go. I did that.
Wow.
And so I flipped it, and it was you're going to stay. And I was like, okay. I said, okay, 2 out of 3. Boop, and I did it again, and it said, you're going to stay. I was like, what? Are you kidding? So 7 coin flips in a row.
What?
You're going to stay.
That's crazy.
amazing.
I was like, okay.
Man.
So there was that gut feeling for a reason, and then there's this. It's like slapping you in the face. So I stayed.
Yeah.
Needless to say, and so I learned how to swim that sophomore year by taking a lifeguarding class, and she was so patient and wonderful.
How old are you?
16.
16.
Yeah. So
At 16, you learned how to swim.
at 16.
That's amazing.
Taking the lifeguarding class. So I was the last swimmer every time. But she taught me, she's like, you have no idea what you do. Why are you in this class? Like, she was so patient and wonderful. I spent a lot of extra time just right there by the steps. Like, okay, the steps are here, and like, just chill out. And that was a big first step for me to kind of realize that I could accomplish something that terrified me beyond belief.
Wow.
So
I mean, moving from that to teaching. I mean,
so
you took our
Now he's
daughters
in the
at like
pool all
10
day,
feet
every
or
day.
something, teaching them how to swim. And I have to say that, like, especially my second daughter, Emma, she's a bit, nervous. The first one is very daring.
Yeah.
Ellie's very daring.
Yeah.
But Emma really trusts you
Yeah.
in this pool more than us.
Yeah.
She goes in with you, and she's not afraid.
Yes.
She really trusts you. Like, she doesn't do that with us.
She holds, like, when I'm taking her to the deep, or even swimming at all.
Yeah.
She's just holding on. She doesn't want to let go.
Right.
But with you, it's just like that connection, and then there's a trust
Yeah.
that you've developed with them, where they're learning. They're learning fast, and this summer she was able to swim.
She was
From
swimming.
second class, she's just. And we knew she could do it, but she needed the right coach.
Yes.
Right.
And with you, it's just the trust, the fun, and they love you. And she just, from second class, when she was swimming, we're like,
Yeah.
it's amazing. But from that, you learned swimming at 16
Yeah.
to now, like, teaching all these little ones.
Yeah. So after I graduated from high school and I became a lifeguard for a few years, I worked in college as a lifeguard and became a water safety instructor, where I got to teach kids, tons and tons of kids. I knew I just loved it. It was so rewarding to teach somebody something that they're terrified of, and then they're like, this is fun.
Yeah.
I want to do this all the time.
Yeah.
It just gives you energy. It just energizes you, and you can just do it again when you don't even feel hungry. Sometimes you just you just keep going, because it's like this kid's going to turn the corner, and they're not even going to remember being afraid.
Yes.
And good for them.
Yeah.
Like, that's fantastic, because fear's not, I mean, there's a time and a place, I suppose. You see a big giant bear, and maybe fear's inappropriate, but when there's something we can do about it, like learning to swim, it's a skill everyone should have, especially here in Southern California with so many bodies of water, or anywhere for that matter. Just it's so important. So,
what age do you recommend kids start?
I represent the American Red Cross, so they say about 6 months or 3 months, but honestly, right away.
As early as
right away. Yeah. You just do it in moderation. You don't want to go dunking your baby, but we've done like 18 months, and we put ours in at around 3 months, just to put her on her back and let her just kind of float around, and she loved it, and so did our boy. He loved it, just floating around. Yeah. Once they got aware, then they don't like floating on their back, but when they're babies, they're just, this is great.
Nice.
Yeah.
You have a question?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
at what age would you say you started the career that you feel like I found it?
Oh, I
So,
don't know if I have yet.
Yeah.
or I'm on the right track.
You did a lot of things still, like leading up to that, like your MBA, and then
Yeah, I did quite a
um,
few other.
you were on radio.
Yeah, for a little bit. Yeah. We did
Nice,
mostly promotions. I started on the promotion side and
nice.
Okay.
did some like guest work with the other on-air talent once in a while in the
Nice.
mornings and the afternoons and the evenings. That culture wasn't the best environment for me
Mm-hmm,
at
mm-hmm.
that time in my life. And I always remembered the value of the culture change that I experienced back at Auburn. And I always was like nostalgic for that, but I knew that I could create that for myself,
Mm-hmm.
even though I wasn't in that environment anymore. I could still create that love and support that I felt when I was there, especially early on when I first got there. Just like meeting like families where there was a mom and a dad and kids, and so like that's awesome,
Mm-hmm.
man. Like you got both. That's great.
Yeah.
So seeing that was the norm as opposed to like the exception
Mm-hmm.
was really cool. And they were engaged in the upbringing and the
With the kids.
nurturing and with their children. Yeah, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to they were just so busy they weren't there, or they were so busy they were frustrated when they were there, or that type of stuff. Which it happens unfortunately way too much. But for me as a young boy to experience the just the polar difference
Mm-hmm.
was it changed everything for me. It changed my perspective on what could be, because I didn't really have that perspective
Mm-hmm.
that what could be wasn't nice. It was dark, so it was great to see. It was life changing for me. So that doctor saved my
Yeah.
life. To be honest
Wow.
with you,
Wow. Yeah. I
Amazing.
mean, we hear a lot that it's so much more about practicality. It's just meeting other people's real needs and being there for them. So much better than just talk or
I really relate
sermonizing.
to your story too, because my life was changed at a boarding academy in
nice.
Egypt. Yeah,
Wow.
it was a shift, a turning point for
Yeah.
my life was with at the boarding academy, and it
Yeah.
was because of people there, kindness and love and
Yeah.
acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
Right.
makes a big difference.
Sure
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you a different question. We're gonna shift a little bit into your nutritional background, but today you hiked 6 miles and looks like you just woke up.
Not
It was
six,
9 miles. It was
Nine,
nine.
9.
sorry, nine, 9 miles.
That's all
Almost
good.
half a marathon. Yeah, 9 miles.
Nine miles,
Yeah.
and most of your days you start your day like before 5 a.m. and
Yeah.
then a couple of times you had our girls' coaching session at like 7 p.m. and you almost had this, you had so much energy that every time I see you, like
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Yeah,
and
you
shocked.
say like you say, "Oh, I've been up since 5 or something." And then we see you giving their classes and it's like, "No, this person just woke up to give a class." Like you have so much energy,
Exactly.
so much excitement, so much.
Yeah.
So,
Besides
how
the
do you do that?
exactly besides the fact that it's rewarding, like what you do,
Yeah.
seeing that the kids are learning and all that. I'm sure you're doing something good as far as like diet and maybe exercise. Like what's your lifestyle like? How do you start your day? How do you what do you eat?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd
what do you
skip a
think?
lot of meals. I eat about once a day,
Okay.
maybe twice a day if it's like
Wow.
a weekend. Family wants to eat with me, so
Yeah.
then I'll
Oh.
I'll eat in that time. Typically, I'll do once a day type of thing. And just a lot of times, if I eat 3 times, I just get sluggish and tired, and
Okay.
I don't seem to have that same amount of energy. Um,
Is that enough to
yeah,
build the muscle and
yeah, it seems to be. It seems to be
okay.
doing me okay. I'm not like withering away yet, which
Nice.
is good.
Do you get like some extra protein in
Yeah,
there or
I do supplement.
okay.
I take vitamins
Okay.
and supplements to bolster that. Like I'll have a block of time where I prefer to eat, and during that time I'll eat and consume as much goodness and
Mm.
yumminess as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't overeat, but I don't like deny myself if I'm hungry. I'll just
Is
eat.
there anything specific you stay away from, or?
We typically are vegan, but mostly vegetarian at our house.
Okay.
When we go out with family and friends, we're flexitarians. So we do what we have to do to
Yeah.
not offend
Yeah.
and
It's
be
nice.
Good guests, so we get invited back and stuff. Yeah.
Nice. Wow.
In my back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we want to make
Yeah.
sure we don't want to impose too much.
Yeah,
Cool.
for sure.
And then what about like your activity? I mean, you're out all day.
Yeah, I try
You're
to stay
active.
pretty active. I try to be outdoors, and I have a stretching routine in the morning where I'll do a little stretching, as much as 15, 20 minutes, just getting my hamstrings nice and loose, getting just my body just nice and loose and fully stretched to try and get that blood flowing.
Nice.
During that time, I really focus on my breathing. Um, and then, believe it or not, I sit and I think about the emotions and experiences I want to have that day. Like, what do I want to get out of this?
That's great.
And then I just kind of like zone out until my legs are either numb and ready to move to the next stretch, or not that long, but till I'm ready to move to the next stretch. Then I try to visualize the next part of the day, or focus on just the breathing. Then I get to work and try to work for a little bit, take a little break, go out and walk from one end of the Drayson Center to the other, basically, right? So I get lots of steps in there, that's for sure. I'm blessed that I have a beautiful place to work and support that supports me. So
Yeah.
yeah, but most days I try and get outdoors to get my exercise,
Even on the weekend.
even especially on the weekends. Yeah,
Yeah.
then I have that opportunity a little bit more. I've never been really good at going to the gym. It just feels, I don't know what
I
it's
know.
unproductive. I don't know what it is. It's not like props to anybody who can get a rhythm going at a gym.
Yeah.
It just feels like I could be like building a house with
Yeah.
this energy, or like doing something that will give somebody else something. But it does. It gives somebody else your best. So
Yeah.
I have the hardest time getting into
Nice.
To
it.
the gym.
I feel the
To get
same.
outside.
So it's
I have
been
to drag my feet.
yeah.
But if it's soccer, I can play
There
every
you go,
day.
because
If
you're
my knees
outdoor,
can
right?
handle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something special about being out in the open.
Nice.
But it's not just, I want to get back to what you do. It's not
Yeah.
just swimming that you do. You also, I mean, we know because our daughters are in gymnastics as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what else do you do besides, is there something else I don't know?
So yeah, we do gymnastics, and we add that with like tumbling, and then we add an aspect of parkour to that, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that since high school when I learned to swim. I also joined the gymnastics team that same year,
Yeah.
and I did that for 3 years. And went to a different boarding school where their coach had just quit. And I was just gung ho, like, oh, man, I love this sport. I fell in love with it when I started, because I used to like try to teach myself flips when I was a little kid. I used to have a day bed, so I'd pull the trundle bed out into the front yard, and I'd jump off my house and the roof of my house and try to learn how to do the flips.
Crazy.
Oh, man.
Silly little boy.
Do you still do that now, like for fun?
Well, they call it parkour now.
Or street.
And I have a lot better
gymnastics,
form
they
now.
call it.
Yeah, I have a lot better form now. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to find a company in Cincinnati where I went a couple years ago and learned the methodology behind American parkour, and got certified level 2. So wow, I'm fully legit, right?
I should ask you to do a backflip now, but
Yeah, right. Yeah.
next time. Nicklas.
Yeah. Next time. One time, we'll see.
I just have to share one last story. I remember when we were signing the girls up for gymnastics, and I told you that my first two, they're always together. Like it's just so hard to separate them. They feel like they're our twins. And Emma was a little bit young. She was just 3 for Ellie's class, gymnastics. And I asked you, what should I do? They do very well together. And you said, sometimes a younger kid does well when they have an older sibling, so bring her. And I brought her, and I remember Emma, like, she's shy, but she
Yeah.
used to be more shy even
Yes,
before.
yes.
And I'm like, oh, I don't know what she's gonna do. And she hasn't met you yet. And we went there, and she went, and she came back. She's like, Mommy, like she doesn't want to go. And then you came, and I don't know what you did. High five, oh, try again, whatever. And she was just very different.
Yeah.
She was just, she had a blast.
Yeah.
And she would, and next time, and she would tell me, oh, Mommy, there's going to be a lot of people. And I'm like, Coach Joey's going to be there. She's like, oh, okay. So she has her person there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So it's just amazing to see that. And it's a gift. I have to say,
Yeah.
it's a gift. Like, not everyone is so gifted, especially with little kids. It's you got to have a special gift to be able to get them comfortable, to get them to learn, to get them to trust you, especially with those who are a little bit not daring, like, the
Yeah.
daring ones are just fun,
Yeah.
but the ones that are more shy or more,
Yeah. It
One
takes
of
a lot
the-
of creativity and energy, that's for
Exactly.
sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's,
Yes.
One of the successful YouTubers with the highest subscribers, he said, find what you like to do and keep trying until you succeed.
yeah. That's
Would
good.
you say that kind of applies to you?
Absolutely. At a young age, when I fell in love with gymnastics and learned to swim and learned that teaching was something that I was interested in, something that I could spend time doing, whether I got paid for it or not. I didn't even care. It just was rewarding and challenging enough that it kept me like, teaching myself and learning constantly from my students.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of it. Just doing something that you love and something that I always tell my friends that, like today when I was hiking, if you find something that you love, like I don't feel like I've really worked too much because I'm just doing stuff. I'm going to do this anyway, and these guys are going to offer to pay me to do it, and I can bring along other people who want to learn too. And we can create a community of people that are overcoming their fears and doing things far beyond what they thought was possible. That's my community. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
seems like the place to be.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what would you say to a young man or woman who are like seeking their career, like, what should I do? Which direction should I go? I mean, since you did a lot of different things.
Yeah, it's hard to say try a lot of things to people, but I think having a lot of different experiences early in life will definitely tell you what you don't like. And that's half the battle.
Yeah,
just
that's true.
just get all that
Yeah.
off the table,
Yeah.
and then there's these last couple of things that I really like to do. And then if you can find what you really like to do, and if you can also find what you're good at, if you can put those two together, and if you're lucky to live in an environment where people will pay you for that, that's where it's at. Like that's as good as it gets.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming.
My pleasure,
where,
man.
Where can we find you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You
Where can we
can
find
email me deependfitnessinlandempire at gmail.com. You can find me at our Instagram of the same name, or you can do fit to be free at wixsite.fittobefree/
We can put it.
We'll
I'm
put
not
it. We'll
even
put it
sure.
in the descriptions for
It's,
sure.
it's a free one, so it's
Nice.
got a lot of extra words in there. Or you can, if you have tax questions, you can email me at Feiler Tax Relief at Yahoo.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
So, yeah, I'm
yeah,
out there.
thanks a lot. We'll
Of
put
course.
everything in the descriptions, and hey, don't miss out on the opportunity. Best coach ever.
Don't miss out.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys
Yeah.
letting me be a part of this.
Thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Cool. Man.